I don't hate the Acolyte. I enjoy the Acolyte. But I empathize with those who don't. And in this video, I want to tell you why. Now, before we get started, allow me to show you this beautiful Master Soul action figure. This was from the vintage collection, 3.75 inches. Now, I also wanted to get my hands on a Black Series Master Soul action figure, but I am having trouble finding one where I live. I live in Taiwan. You want to know why? Because of Mei and Osha. Because nobody wants to buy Mei and Osha. You see, the Acolyte wave includes 8 figures in each boxes, and they got four of them were Master Soul, Master Ndara, Jackie, and Yord. And the other 4 are 2 Oshas and 2 Meis. And unfortunately, most people don't want to buy Meis and Oshas. I got a few friends who happen to be selling Star Wars toys for a living, and they told me that because nobody wants to buy Mei and Osha, they didn't import that many of the Acolyte figures. So a lot of people predicted that the Jedi are these figures are going to be peg warmers, but actually only half of it is true, because the Jedi are actually selling pretty well. But unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of them where I live. I've always felt like if I didn't get a few things straight, this video is going to get downvoted to high heavens. So let me get a few things clear. For those of us who like the show, and those of us who do not like the show, we both agree. We both agree that Master Soul and Chimera are the best parts of the show. We also agree that the lightsaber battles are the best parts of the show. Actually, probably the best we've got in live action since Revenge of the Sith. And a little bit closer in quality to the Clone Wars animated series. And we also agree that the Dreadlock twins and the lesbian space witches are probably the weakest parts of the show. So we actually agree on so many things. So there was no need for friendly fire. We just came up with a different verdict. For you, the Dreadlock twins and the lesbian space witches ruined the show for you. But for me, Master Soul and Chimera and the lightsaber battles made the show for me. Now, I agree that the story may be a little bit rough, because the way I see it, the Jedi Knights that we were so looking forward to seeing are actually meant to be pigs raised for the slaughter. I like Jackie, I like Yord, I like the Anakin destroy the Death Star guy. I find it very funny, even though it's a little bit stupid. They're a very charismatic supporting cast, and I was a little bit upset that they got killed halfway through the show. But that was the point of the Acolyte, because these Jedi were meant to be pigs raised for the slaughter. I think that is the structure of the narrative. And I want to tell you why Master Soul is my favorite character in the show. In fact, I think he's the character with the biggest main character energy. He is literally in the middle of the poster, and he was one of the main guys doing the lightsaber battles on the light side of the Force. He reminds me quite a bit of Qui-Gon, with a little bit of Anakin's personality, a little bit of Anakin's darkness. And I think that's what draws me to the character so much. Some people would interpret Soul's obsession with Osha to be a little bit, PDF. But if we look at it from the perspective of the Star Wars lore, I think it was more about the will of the Force, about the attachment formed through the Force. So yeah, I was a little bit upset that he got killed in the end. If I'm the one who does the show, if I'm already planned season 2, I would have had Soul survive the show. We would see Osha turn to the dark side. We would see Master Soul being the only one of the 4 Jedi from the Brandok incident who survives the show, and he goes on to be one of the main leads in season 2 to try his best to turn Osha back to the light side. But that would cause some problems for the overall Star Wars lore because, according to the Phantom Menace, the Jedi were not supposed to know about the Sith's existence until Qui-Gon Jinn's battle with Darth Maul. And I think that the Acolyte gave us some interesting world building because until then, we haven't really explored much of the timeline, the time period before the prequel trilogy in visual medium. The Star Wars timeline in the Disney canon is starting to get a little bit more complete to be able to be compared to the expanded universe in a similar scope, even though the expanded universe is definitely so much better. You want to know why I am still invested in the Disney Star Wars timeline, even though I'm more attached toward the expanded universe? Because it was the timeline where Captain Rex and Ahsoka existed. Because the Clone Wars animated series does not fit in with the expanded universe. So by that standards, Captain Rex and Ahsoka are the only characters that existed in the Disney Star Wars timeline. I think that most of the backlash toward the show originated from bad PR. And I think it really is bad PR. It's a shame that the Acolyte got cancelled because I would have wanted to see more of Chimera. He's like one of the few interesting lead characters left after Master Soul died. And he, as Dark Side Force user, I've always found him 10 times more intimidating than Kylo Ren. I think that the dynamic between Osha and Chimera is so much better done compared to Rey and Kylo Ren. I would have wanted to see Darth Plagueis and Yoda, even though the bigger possibility is most of the screen time is probably going to be occupied by Osha and Vernestra Rwoh, who I'm not exactly interested in, even though I do not dislike Vernestra. I think I can say the same about this show as well as the other Disney Plus Star Wars shows. I think that if not for the sequel trilogy messing up the Skywalker saga, if not for The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker dividing the Star Wars fan base, I don't think that the reception the Acolyte got would have been half as bad as it is today. A lot of it has also been caused by bad PR that Lucasfilm was responsible for because they were not being responsible with their PR and not being very professional with their criticisms. I mean, it is true that the fan base, there are going to be some people that are not very polite or eloquent with their criticisms, but I think that Lucasfilm as a company has a responsibility to be professional, to deal with these criticisms with professionalism and listen to the constructive criticisms that actually has merit. But they did not do it, and that's why the Star Wars fandom is in such a depressing situation today. So I mentioned that I empathize with the people who do not like the Acolyte. I would say that my position towards this show is closer to Star Wars channels like Generation Tech, like Alan from Generational Tech, than other channels like Star Wars Explained, who is known for working very closely with Lucasfilm, which gave their reviews a little bit less credibility. I really want to like the new Star Wars projects. And if I like something, I will say it. And even if something has flaws, I will also mention it, even though sometimes it will not affect me as much or it does not ruin the show for me. But I will not pretend that there is no problem, because there is. And that's what I do not like about specific part of the Star Wars fandom, that they like to pretend that there is nothing wrong with the recent Star Wars projects. And I believe there is, it's just that if they didn't mess up the sequel trilogy, the flaws would not have been magnified half as much as they are today. So that's about it. be sure to like and subscribe. And also check out my Mara Jade video. I made a video about how I would have put Mara Jade in the Disney Star Wars canon, because I remember seeing a video of made by Thor Skywalker discussing why Mara Jade is most possibly not going to be put in the Star Wars canon. So I thought that that is a very interesting idea to explore, and would have enriched the Disney Star Wars timeline and make it even more similar to the original expanded universe. So be sure to check it out if you are interested. And I will see you in the next video.